So, Rick mentioned about a few movie references. So while we were waiting, we had the idea to turn it into a drinking game. So if anyone was able to get some movie reference,
you get a shot.
Yay! Oh, I'm about to get in trouble.
There's not that many glasses there, so I guess we don't expect that many right answers.
So, did anyone get any movie references?
Sunset Boulevard. Yes.
You get a shot. Next. Oh,
Anyone else? Yes.
Whatever happened to baby?
You get a shot.
Was that it? Come on.
You get a shot. This is a good audience.
Whatever happened to baby Jane?
Someone said that already, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, while we're handing out glasses, I wanted to move on to the Q&A portion. You mentioned that Hustler White now has a younger and newer audience, but I was wondering, what audience did you have in mind when you made this film?
I don't think we had an audience in mind. I mean, it was a very personal project. It was something that I was aware of living in Los Angeles my entire life. I was aware of the street scene, of the male hustler scene in particular. The female prostitute scene, or street scene, had been going on forever. And that was more obvious to the police. So they would bust the girls all the time, take them in, find them, put them in jail. But the boys on Santa Monica Boulevard, it wasn't obvious enough for the police at that time. They didn't realize what was going on. And I was intrigued with the history of the hustler scene, particularly in Los Angeles. And since I've been there for a long time, and also I'm very one of those kind of people that does a lot of research, I knew the whole history of the hustling cruising scene since the early days, like the turn of the century, up until the 1990s, when it ended, because then in the late 90s everything went online, and that was the end of the era.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I also wanted to know why the cast was exclusively men. To what extent was the scene male-dominated, and why was this a choice for the movie?
Yeah, that was done on purpose. We tried to have absolutely no women in any scenes whatsoever, but I think there's a scene on the street where a woman's pushing a baby stroller, and that really pissed me off. I kind of wish that we had edited that out. And the reason for that is really obscure, of course. So during that day, you know, besides on the street, they would put actual advertising for sex in the gay magazines. In the back of the magazines, there would be these ads. And as you can imagine, it was very diluted and very this kind of idea of what a person would want. So they would say, no fats, femmes, heavy B&D, and no women, and that would be an ad. And I understand it's extremely politically incorrect, but that was the kind of ad that would be present during this era. So it was kind of making fun of it, and also just the idea of this sort of false fantasy of what somebody wants in their sexual proclivities.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next, I wanted to ask about Tony Ward's character, Monty.
Yeah.
He doesn't specify sexuality when asked by Jürgen Anger. He states that he's neither gay or straight, rather a hustler. Was this typical for hustlers at the time?
To do what?
To not identify with either being gay or straight.
Well, I mean, for them it was a business. And I want to distinguish the street scene as much different than the escort scene. The escort scene, it would be more the ads in the magazines and later on online. But the street scene was definitely always more of a desperate kind of a situation. And the boys, it was very, very transient. But you also have to keep in mind that this is an era, I mean, AIDS had already began, but this was an era where it was the libidos were much higher back then, and people were much hornier. So a lot of guys just did it for the fun. I mean, there was a time when, you know, sex was fun. And so there was kind of a mixture of all of that. And I also wanted to point out that narration where they're asking, are you gay and straight? That's my voice. Do you recognize that? I'm asking the questions.
I didn't, but
Yeah.
it's a really great fact.
Yeah. I'm also in a scene in the movie, and if you guess that scene right, you also get a drink. Do you remember?
I don't drink, but the cameraman in the
Which scene?
like when they're shooting the porn, the cameraman.
Yes. You don't drink?
I don't drink.
But
I'm
you can
sorry.
give it to your friend.
I'm not
Do you want to give them a drink
You're-
on your behalf? Oh, okay. Well, yes.
Yes, thank you for that. And you also fun fact, Rick Castro made a other film about the furry community, so that's also a nice tip to watch. But what other freaky subcultures intrigue you right now in this present time?
Right now?
Well, I
mean-
first want to ask what other freaky subculture are going to make the next movie about?
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of. It's been I'm not a spring chicken. I'm interested in everything, but I don't know. I don't really have any particular. I ran an art gallery from 2005 to 2017, and I call it a fetish art gallery. And each exhibition, the theme was a different fetish. So I explored all those fetishes through art. And that's what I've done with my photography and my films. So I don't know if I can continue on in that vein. Maybe just like a nice cup of tea, the fetish of tea.
Amazing, amazing. Now I want to open the questions up to the audience. So are there any audience members who would like to ask a question?
There's still 3 more references. There's 3 more drinks floating around.
Go ahead.
Might be the-
I was wondering if everybody was actors or if they were actual actors playing in the movie.
I think it's obvious they were not actors. The only one that was slightly an actor was Tony Ward, the lead character. He was a model, and so that was his first film. And he did a few other films after that, but not that many. He still actually works as a model, and he was in the Justify My Love video, and what's the other one with the mermaids? He's in the Belinda Carlisle video. He's been in the Spice Girls. He's been in numerous videos before and after Us Their White. But the other guys, many of them were guys that had modeled for me before from the streets. And then Ron Athey, he plays the mortician, and his character's name is Seymour Kasabian. And Ron Athey has become a very international performance artist. I don't know if he's come to Amsterdam, but he's become very established as a performance artist. And let me see who else is in it. Graham David Smith, the gentleman that likes to get razored, he was an incredible writer, and when he was, back in the day when he was a youngster, he was in Fellini movies, he was in Juliet of the Spirits. So there's all these kind of people that came in and out of different industries, but definitely a mixture of the boys off the street.
Any other questions? Yes.
Are you inspired by Repo Man anyway?
The movie Repo Man. Boy, I haven't heard that since it came out. Why?
Speeding up the footage and stuff sometimes.
Oh.
I get like in that way, but it's not one of the.
Well, it was a great movie for sure, and that was
right?
Emilio Estevez, right?
Yeah.
No, it was a great film. I think maybe the whole like the kind of grittiness
The
of it.
funkiness, right?
Yeah, I think maybe I was more inspired by that Robert Altman movie called Shortcuts, where everything kind of intercepts into stories intercept and characters intercept. But we had such a small budget that it was hard to. I would like to have had more backstory to the characters than what we had. So worked with what I had.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Yours too.
What about the different camera angles you took for the movie? Is it specific for porn at that time, or?
Yeah, well, James Cameron was our cameraman. He still works. He works a lot with Jürgen Bruning with Kazo Films in Berlin, and I think he still works with Bruce. I don't know if he works exclusively with Bruce, but we kind of before the film we kind of set the idea of different angles we wanted to have. And there was a few that I wanted to include, like, for example, the baby chain reference, not just the idea of the two characters on the beach and that angle, which is the movie angle, but when they're driving to the ocean, that actual scene when they're driving down Highway 1, that's an exact replica of the scene in Baby Jane, but Baby Jane's in black and white. And Bruce didn't believe me. He kept saying, "Oh no." I go, "No, this is it, Bruce. I promise you. This is the actual highway. This is the direction. We're going in the right direction. This is the angle." So we fought about that. But yeah, we blocked different things. And then from what I remember, it was James's idea when Monty Ward meets Amber Saperstein, the guy that gets razored, when they meet at the Yukon Mining Company, the idea of the camera keeps going from back and forth. That was his idea, and I'm trying to remember if he was imitating a different film or not, but he was doing that.
Yes.
I was wondering if there is like a specific scene that you have in mind that didn't make it into the final cut.
Well, this is the big secret in the room. But our shooting ratio was 1-to-1, meaning that almost always it was one take.
Wow.
Every now and again we had the luxury of 2 takes, but we were working on such a limited budget, and we were working on film stock called short ends, which is the remainder of a reel. So we could buy the short ends cheaper than if you bought an entire reel of film, 16 millimeter. So the budget kind of made everything, that forced us to be creative with the budget we were working with, which was none.
Was there anything in the writing process that didn't make the cut?
No, the script, we wrote the script with it in mind that it would be 82 minutes is the shortest that a feature-length film could be. So the film is 82 minutes on the dot. So it could qualify as a feature. So we wrote that. I forgot, Bruce was talking about how a certain amount of pages translate to a certain amount of time. So we kept the script at that page number. Oh, there was one scene I was really upset that didn't get into it. I just remembered the scene right before the black escort service. Well, if you look at the when the Kevin Kramer character is calling on an actual payphone, he has an ad that says "LA Posse." That was an actual escort service, like a posse. And when he goes to his interview, we filmed the exterior, which was this black house. This is a long story. There was this black house back in the day, that was all black flint rock on the outside. It was an amazing house. And then the shrubbery outside was green, and the house was completely black. And it was owned by this really eccentric woman named Susan Strauss. And I was obsessed with her. Everybody in LA was obsessed with her because she would walk up and down La Brea Avenue and Melrose Avenue, which was known for the shopping area. And she would put her hair up in an antenna, and she'd make her own clothes out of burlap, and she had these platforms made that were at least 10 inches high or even higher. And she would just sort of lumber up and down the street on Melrose Avenue. And I was so obsessed with her that I actually followed her home. And I looked into her mailbox, and I found out that her name was Susan Strauss. And then, this is a long story. And then I had a boyfriend who was working at a law firm. He was like the secretary. And I said, I've got to take you to Susan's house. And he's like, oh yeah, let's go to Susan's house. So we're driving to Susan's house because I want to show him Susan's house. And then I go, look, the house next door is now black. It's like Susan took over the house. And just at that time, this man walks out of the house, and my boyfriend Dan goes, that's my locksmith. And I go, really? So we asked him everything. He goes, yeah, Susan's our landlady, and she made our house black as well. And she's a Levi Strauss heir. So.
And what would the scene would have been?
It would have been the Kevin Kramer character walking into the black house.
Oh, for the escort.
For the black escort service.
I would also note that one of my personal favorite things about the film is the inclusion of the geography of LA, which you, of course, know so much about.
Yeah.
The inclusion of such iconic places like the Scientology building and the Hollywood Cemetery. So I wanted to give you that as a compliment.
Oh, thank you.
Are there any more questions? Yes.
I think I got one reference.
Okay.
It wasn't a movie, but it was a painting, the God painting, where Monty is like handing the bloody.
Oh, you mean in the Sistine Chapel?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. Give him a drink.
Give me two. But I have a question as well.
Yeah.
But first, I wanted to say, like, thank you for making this film. It's one of my favorite films. I actually just had a party at Club Church, and the theme, no, I don't think anybody got it. It was called Hollywood Hookers. And it was a big scandal, actually, because everyone's like, ooh, is Jeffrey Epstein going to be there? It's fucked up. But it was a really successful party, and it was inspired by Hustler White. I also did this kind of work when I was in LA. I was a broke intern, so I used to walk down the streets at night to make my money. I didn't know during the day I could make more until I saw
Yeah, but I'm sure you were way after that era. And
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
95.
for sure. Yeah, sure.
You weren't even born.
No, it's still...
Where is Club Church?
Club Church here is in Amsterdam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a gay sex club.
It's a gay sex club.
Oh, okay.
Have
Oh,
you,
nice.
you never heard of it?
No, I don't know Amsterdam.
But my question is, because I've worked in LA, is like, how did you guys get the permits and stuff to film, or was everything like...
We did not. That's the beauty of independent filmmaking, is you just do whatever you can as quick as you can, and you ask everybody for favors. You know, I mean, we were much younger, so I had balls. I don't think I could get away with it now, quite frankly. Everything is so regulated, and you know, there's a camera in every corner and everything. So it's a whole different process. But you know, pre-internet, pre-cell phone, things move slower. You know, there's so much stuff you could do under the slide, and people would not even know ever, really, that it was going on. So an interesting tidbit as far as the Hollywood Cemetery. So that just happens to, for whatever reason, be the beginning part of Santa Monica, the area where the Hustlers work on Santa Monica Boulevard. So that's kind of on the east part of Hollywood. And then it goes all the way to La Brea, which is the beginning of West Hollywood.
Yeah.
After La Brea, West Hollywood, no one's going to pay for sex because they're all going to do it for free. But ironically, that little corner, the the Hollywood Cemetery in 1995 was totally in disarray, and it was in bankruptcy. It was in foreclosure. So this young family-owned mortuary owner in St. Louis, Missouri, went to a queer film festival and was very drunk and saw Hustler White and said, there's an actual Hollywood cemetery. He had his family make inquiries and they bought it for nothing. So his name is Tyler Cassidy. He has turned the Hollywood Cemetery into this jewel in Los Angeles. And so he introduced himself to me. And currently I have an ongoing photographic museum in one of the mausoleums where all the ash boxes are. I have 100 of my photographs permanently embedded in this mausoleum. So if you ever go to Los Angeles, you can go and look at this exhibition. It's open every day from 9 to 5 for free parking. And it's there for eternity. Right across the street from where we filmed, and then we pirated the inside of the cemetery for the character that the mortician picks up Piglet.
Yes, are there any more questions? Yes.
I was wondering how was like the movie, or how was the reception back then when it was released, and how is the reception now? Do you see any differences?
The reception now is better, and so what happened is, so I was working with Bruce, and Bruce, this was his third film, and then Jürgen Bruning, our producer, he sent a rough cut of the film to the Sundance Film Festival, and much to our pleasure, they accepted it on a rough cut. And so this is, with it had sound but no music, no color correction. So then we had to get the film done for Sundance. So this was in the summer of '95, and Sundance is in it would be February of 1996. So we got it done literally just a few days before the film festival, and I went on the plane with the film actually in my hand, a film canister, an actual film canister, not digital. And so the theater that's the most well known for Sundance is called the Egyptian, and it's actually not much bigger than this theater. This theater actually looks nicer than the Egyptian, but it has that iconic status. So after the scene of, say, like the two skinheads kissing and with the autoerotic, we lost a few people in the audience. Then with the cutting scene, we lost half the audience. Then with the stump scene, we lost another part of the audience. And then with the kissing scene, we lost even more audience. So then we had about a third left for the entire film. The people that stayed mattered. It was all like the people like Gus Van Sant and people that were associated with Jodie Foster. Not that she would have liked it, but it was just all these people that really, could do something. So it worked to our favor. But it was always polarizing in a good way. And then it was always controversial, so it got a lot of press in a good way. But you gotta remember that when you're doing no-budget films like John Waters with Pink Flamingo and Divine eating the dog shit, that's what got people into the theaters, was the dog shit scene. So you have to always kind of deal with some kind of sensationalism. But I mean, as far as I go, I would probably just do it anyways, whether I was trying to promote the film or not, because that's just my style, is to always kind of push the envelope. But anyways, that's what happened. Oh, so now, of course, it's like the young crowd, meaning, you guys, that really like the film, and it has nothing to do with gender or sexual persuasion. They just really enjoy the film. And I think that audiences now are much more receptive to fetish and fetish culture, and it isn't as taboo as it was, back in my day. So yeah, everything's changed. ironically, because we're living in such conservative times, at least in America, so both of these things are happening at the exact same time.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Is there maybe a final question of anyone? Yes?
It's not a final question, but was there a reference to three women?
What did she say?
A reference to three women.
Yes, you get a drink. And the scene is when the madam is in the Mercedes and his captain is stuck in the door. That's Shelley Duvall in Three Women, which is such a good film if you haven't seen it. Isn't it just a great film? It's Robert Altman, who's one of my favorite filmmakers. And it's obscure, but I recommend it. It's Sissy Spacek, Shelley Duvall, and I think it's Jane Rule. I can't remember the last actress. She's not as known. But it's just this bizarre film that takes place in Palm Springs. And Shelley Duvall's always in yellow, and she drives a yellow Pinto, and her yellow skirt gets caught in the door every single time that she's driving. She works as a physical therapist at a senior home. It's just a great film. And there's two other references that you probably won't get. So should I just tell them?
Yes.
So the other one is the kissing scene. I was really uncomfortable. That's from The Killing of Sister George, which is an obscure lesbian film directed by Robert Altman, who also directed Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And Beryl Reid is kissing Susanna York, and it's so awkward and uncomfortable and the opposite of erotic. And so we did that with Bruce and Charlie and just kind of prolonged it. Maybe even too long, really, because it's longer than the scene in Killing the Sister George. That's also a really great movie. I recommend that. I think it's 1969. It's a great film, British. And the other one is really obscure. It's a reference to Rosemary's Baby. And it's really just a scene when the boys are on the street and they kind of look up and there's a helicopter. And in Rosemary's Baby, there's a scene when Mia Farrow's out. She's really pregnant and she's all grumpy and everything. And then at one point, she just sort of looks up in the sky and there's a helicopter. But what happened is somebody asked Roman Polanski, what's the story with the helicopter? And he said, oh, well, we were filming and there was a helicopter and I really liked the way it looked, so I put it in the film. And so we did the same thing. There just happened to be a helicopter. And Bruce is as much as a cinephile as me. So I said, look. And we both had James film the helicopter.
And there's a separate scene in this movie, like in Rosemary's Baby, right?
With the helicopter, yeah.
No, like the evil doctor in Rosemary's Baby.
Well, yeah, we had the character Ambrose Saperstein was the character in Rosemary's Baby who gives her the tannis root. Thank you. A room full of film people is the best, right? And I'm sure there was a few more, but I'm kind of blanking. But there were just all these obscure references, just to kind of to give more of a layer to the story, and the whole idea of the film. I mean, it never was rated. It was banned. They edited it for a while in the UK. They shortened it, and how much shorter could this film be? But they had cut out the scenes that you can imagine. I think for a while it was banned in Australia. But then later on, of course, everything changed. But I'm in really good company because my favorite movie by Pasolini, Salo, that was banned for decades. And so I think getting banned is a really badge of accomplishment as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, well, I maybe have one final question if we're going to do one more. Well, if we have time, of course. Well, I wanted to ask, and I want to ask everyone to please go downstairs after this and check out the photography exhibition. But talking about your photography, how did your artistic practice as a photographer trickle down into this film? Where can we recognize your art?
Well, I mean, you'll see the photos downstairs that I shot during the making of the film in the summer of '95. I started as a wardrobe person. I was a wardrobe stylist for about 13, 15 years. And I ended up working with photographers who became very well known. But when I started to work with them, they were unknown. For example, I used to be the wardrobe stylist for Herb Ritz. And I also worked for Joe Peter Whitkin, the art photographer, when he was first starting. And then I worked for George Farrell, who was very well known, but he had come out of retirement and he was working again. And I worked for him as a stylist. So that was my training as a photographer. I was learning hands-on with these masters just by watching them. So better than any university could ever give me as far as education. So I started taking pictures in '86, and my very first photograph was of Tony Ward, who's the star of this film. And you're going to see I have a couple of books downstairs, and one book is completely referenced to all the hustlers I photographed, and so that's the reference to this movie. And so from '86 to '99, I was obsessed with documenting these boys in Santa Monica Boulevard. I mean, I was really fixated. I would, sometimes on a daily basis, I would go up and down the boulevard in my '67 Mercury Cougar and just ask a random guy to model for me. And so it took the film, and then this book just came out a few years ago. So it's really become really a huge part of my photograph and film career. This one little street, Hollywood. A narrow little street.
Just one more question.
Sorry, I'll get my last question. Are you working on any film projects right now, or are you totally done with film?
I'm not, because I find making films really difficult. It became, when you don't know what you're doing, it's really easy. And so that's kind of what happened with Hustler White. I mean, I had a lot of luck. And then my second film was a documentary about furry culture. And we ended up selling that to MTV. But after that, it just got harder and harder to find funding for the type of projects I wanted to do. And I had some scripts that didn't go anywhere. So yeah, currently it's just all about the photography. It's actually all about photographic exhibitions of all the stuff that I did back in the day. Not so much, I don't really shoot that much anymore. I mean, I do, but not very much.
Okay, thank you everyone so much.
So we go downstairs.
Yes.